So, in today's episode of Chess Couple, I want to teach my wife some of the chess strategies or chess basics that she should know because as she is getting better at chess, she should know something about it more, right?
Yes, I'm really excited to learn some things.
All right. So, let's start from the beginning. Yes, hi.
Hi.
So, this is how every chess game starts. But what actually is a chess game? We have to make some moves with some of our pieces, and the game can end with a draw, with a win for me, or with a win for you. So there are three possible results, and basically the goal is to checkmate the king of your opponent.
Mhm.
So this is my king, and this is your king. So every piece has a certain amount of possibilities to move, and let's say the rooks, they attack on the whole file, like my rook attacks on this and to the sideways, right? So if your king is being attacked by some of my piece, it's called a check.
Mhm.
And when you cannot capture that piece or you cannot move your king, that's a checkmate. So basically, what is the shortest possible way to checkmate your opponent? I don't know if you know this, but you can do it in two moves. So first, if you're white, you have to start like with your f pawn,
Mhm.
and then I develop my e pawn
Mhm.
to make it possible for my queen to go do some nasty business.
Yeah.
And then you open some possibility for my queen. And in the second move, I give you a checkmate.
Mhm.
So this is the shortest possible way to checkmate your opponent in
Mhm.
two moves. But it doesn't really happen because you have to know this pattern basically to make it happen.
I didn't
But
know that.
one really popular thing among the beginners, especially, is the scholar's mate. So the scholar's mate um, looks something like this. So usually beginners and also advanced players start with e4. Then the other player responds with e5. And the basic idea of scholar's mate is that you attack your opponent's king as soon as possible. So right now we are in the move 3 and you're already threatening a checkmate because if you capture this pawn with your queen, then that queen is protected by the bishop. So many people who doesn't know scholars mate fall into this trap because they think that the game just started and they can develop their pieces, but let's say if I develop my bishop, then you just give me checkmate. So this is really good thing to know about chess. This is the most basic attack you can do, and it's really popular, but of course some more experienced players will know this trick. So this is the basic scholar's mate, and the simple defense is if I play here, because then you cannot capture this pawn, right? So there is some improvement you can do. You can develop your queen here, and now this doesn't work if I move my knight here, because you still can capture this pawn, right?
Mhm.
So I remember I was watching some game and even someone used it against Magnus Carlsen.
Mhm.
So you can imagine you play against the greatest player of all time and you are counting on the most beginner's trick. So of course he didn't fall for that. But sometimes I think Magnus also plays Scholars Made for fun.
Okay, in that regard, so we got our first comment on our channel last time. The person, the person commented on this. I made this move,
Flank moves.
flank move. So I
Yeah.
didn't know this thing. So I just made it on my own. I just felt like, okay, let's just do it. And then somebody said, even you didn't tell me that this is a thing, that it's like a thing. Of course, everything is a thing. I don't know much. But that person says that, like, yeah.
All right, so let me explain the comment.
Okay.
So the comment basically is the comment said that the flank moves are really good, but they're not good in the beginning. So usually when you play chess, you fight for the center. Because when you occupy the center with your pawns, with your pieces, like let's say you occupy the whole center. So I have less ability to move with my pieces, right? I cannot develop them as freely as you can, because you have a lot of space, right? So this is what most of the chess games start and what the fight is all about. But it's recent that the development of chess computers proved that moving your pawns like on the flanks, on the A and H files, at some point of the game can give you the edge, because in the long run, and obviously chess computers see much deeper than we can, much deeper in terms of analysis. So the flank pawns sometimes are crucial in the end game, because in the beginning the center is most important, but in the end game sometimes if you have the pawn really far advanced, that can be really beneficial for you. All right, so of course that comment was appreciating your flanking ability, but I would suggest you in the beginning, as you are learning how to play chess properly, to first move your e pawn or d pawn. This is the d pawn, and this is your e pawn. Because if you occupy the center, you can develop your pieces, you can do moves really naturally. But of course, this strategy is also good. I never experienced anyone play this against me. But I don't know what's the reason. Maybe humans are not up to date with the newest
I
development.
played this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not actually really good because it also weakens your king, and yeah. But if you want to go straight to the end game, that's I think the best way you can go.
Okay.
So yeah, and there's among stronger players, there is something that they prefer to be white, because if you play the white pieces, you can choose what opening you can play, right? So you choose an opening that both of you will play. And when you are playing with black pieces, that means you have to react for what the white pieces are doing, right? So let's say in our games, you open with h4. And this is a really original idea. So I usually reply to that by occupying the center, right? Because I'm saying, okay, you are going for the end game, but if I finish the things before we reach the end game, then I have the edge, right? So I usually, so then you play something like g4, and then I occupy the whole center. So this is also already really good for me because I have the whole center for free, and you played some moves that could be good for the end game but not for the beginning. So I think if you defend well, you can have the edge on the end game, but for now, maybe it's not the best. So the most popular idea for the people who start is to play e4. So I told you play e4 or d4, right? And what is the difference between those moves? So e4 opens up your king, right? This is the pawn right in front of your king. And it usually leads to more open positions. Like there are some captures, like a lot of pawns are coming off the board, and You have a lot of space for your pieces and you can develop them freely, and usually you have some attacking positions just because it makes it a little less comfortable for your king, because in your very first move you open up the space in front of your king, right? So there are possibilities to attack your king. And um, players who like more positional chess, they usually start with d4 because it's um, more conservative when it comes to your king. The king is still pretty well protected, and it usually leads to more closed positions where you don't have a lot of attacking, a lot of tactics, but you have a lot of shuffling your pieces and maneuvering. Uh, so that is the basic difference. And yeah. So I for me, for my chess journey, I was playing e4 first, and I usually played the Scotch. So there are chess openings, like many chess openings, depending on which pieces you develop, which pawns and pieces you develop in the first moves. And there are many names like Scotch, Italian, French, Spanish. So there are many different names. Usually they come from someone who invented the opening. If some Spanish person invented the opening, then the name is Spanish, or Ruy Lopez after his name. And I was playing Scotch, which comes like this. You develop your pieces like this. You usually there are some captures in the center, and then I moved to d4, and I was playing d4 for a really long time. I was enjoying some close positions, and then I moved back to e4. So usually me and my friends were laughing about our chess journey, that first we play e4 as beginners because all beginners play e4. And then we moved to d4 because we thought, okay, if only beginners play e4, then we want to have some original idea, and we played d4 to distinguish ourselves from the beginners. And then we realized that all the top grandmasters play still e4. So then
you moved to e4 again.
Then we moved to e4 again.
Okay.
But it actually, in the beginning, doesn't really matter what you play. What matters is gaining the experience. All right. So that's.
So you made a really good introduction for me. So today we're not playing chess. You're just explaining something. So last question for today. Maybe we can continue about this thing tomorrow again, and I mean for our next episode. But the last question I want to ask you, that how you say that white player, the person who is playing white, has the privilege of kind of controlling the opening. So what kind of impact opening has? Is it extremely important or moderately important, or you can switch the position even though the person who is opening the game has some privilege in the beginning, but when you are literally trying to encounter his attacks or you are trying to defend, is it can it increase your chances of winning, or how does it work?
Yeah, so usually opening is the most important part, because when you know the theory of the opening, like let's say I mentioned the Scotch. So if you know many variations, you can surprise your opponent. And let's say you play some variation that the opponent doesn't know. He doesn't know what is the correct order of moves. So you can gain some advantage that will decide the ending, that will decide the course of the game already. So this is the thing that top chess grandmasters study most of the time because they really know endings. They know middle game. But to have the edge right in the opening, this is the most important thing. Because even if you are the strongest grandmaster in the world, when the game goes to the ending and you have the advantage just because of the opening,
Mm-hmm.
even Magnus Carlsen cannot win with only the king, right?
Mm-hmm.
So usually the game is decided in the opening. And
Okay.
if the black pieces can balance you, or if you can balance some variations that black tries to surprise you with, then it is obviously equal. But the battle is who will have the advantage right after the opening.
Okay. That's sound that sounds really important then. Okay, I will keep it in mind. And of course, the explanation you gave me, um, there was lots of information came, but I will try to remember them maybe. So, but I have more questions. Maybe I will ask you on our next episode. So, for today, sayonara.
Sayonara.